have to say, got it. You can say, can you click got it on the mouse there? Come on in, plenty of seats, find a spot. Hello, YouTube. We're going to start recording here in the room. And with that, I'll close this, but I'm sure we'll get others in the door. It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker today. Let's see what's in there. So we're really lucky to have Dr. Yongyang Liu coming to visit us. He came last night. We went out to dinner. He's been visiting today with a bunch of faculty in the department. We really appreciate you making the trip up. Dr. Yongyang Liu is an associate research professor at the University of South Florida College of Marine Sciences. And did I get a chat that the YouTube is good? Okay. Hi, YouTube. And he directs the USF Ocean Circulation Lab, where he's worked since 2008. Dr. Liu is a physical oceanographer who studies ocean circulation, particularly on the West Florida shelf. And he uses both in situ observations as well as numerical models to understand things like oil spills, wastewater plumes, red tide events, storm surge. Unfortunately, he has a lot of work because we have a lot of oil spills, wastewater plumes, storm surges, and red tide, all these kind of challenges. And we need to understand how the ocean circulation works to understand any of these other ecological or social economic issues. He also develops and applies novel data analysis methods to meteorology and oceanography. Dr. Liu received his PhD from USF in 2006, then did a postdoc out at University of Washington from 2006 to 2008. He has more than 100 scientific publications and is an editor of the journals Artificial Intelligence for Earth Systems and Deep Sea Research 2. I don't know what's Deep Sea Research 1, but 2 is the better one. So with that, the floor is yours. I may have to come up a few times and kind of turn this thing off, but you can mostly just ignore me and you can go ahead. Thanks, Dr. Liu.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Carmen, for inviting me. That's a great honor to be here in UF. Also, thank you all for showing off on my presentation. I came from a group with a coordinated ocean observing and modeling program. We have been founded over the last more than 20 years for this effort. Yeah. So first slide I want to show funding agencies. The current funding agencies that are working. Yeah, that's appreciate the rest. Without funding, it's almost impossible to continue with this work. Also, I'd like to acknowledge the contribution from the entire group. It's a big group, and my former advisor, Dr. Weisberg, he retired last year, so I assume all the responsibility from him to lead this lab. So everybody contributed to the work I'm talking about today.
Can we see that picture just for one more second? Because I'm kind of slow to realize.
Dr.
What
Weisberg,
happened?
he retired last.
Yeah.
He was a former director. He retired last year, and Donovan, Jeff Donovan was worked with Bob Weisberg for over 35 years. He's served as general manager of the group, and he's also computer system administrator. And also have a lot of other office work and that.
Yeah. That wasn't the part I was, more, the hairstyle that some of you guys have, but
because this guy,
yeah,
he wants this guy and this guy to wear the fig at the time.
Yeah.
And he suggested those guys actually they do not have this.
Okay, so make sure to write that up in your abstract, okay? All right.
Yeah, we maintain a moored array on the Western Shelf for a long time. This is currently available on the Western Shelf, currently in water. 4 surface mooring systems and 3 subsurface moorings. So surface moorings will have full package of meteorological measurements and also have downward-looking ADCP mirrored ocean currents in the water column. All these data have been delivered to our system in real time. So it's a real-time system. Observation is important. It's critical to understand the ocean circulation on the Western Shelf. Without observations, any models may generate just garbage. So this is the foundation of our group's work. We have set up different models on the wastewater shelf, try to simulate the ocean circulation patterns and their change over time on the shelf. Because observations only have limited locations, we need to use the model to understand every location of the shelf. Because track pollutions and other applications, you need ocean circulation information for the entire shelf, not just the limited locations. So this application of FECOM, the finite volume coastal community model, is unstructured gradient model. Model grids extend further to the west of Mississippi River. The purpose is to try to include the fresh water from the Mississippi River, the major river in the Gulf of Mexico, in the model domain, so that hopefully the fresh water being better represented. That's the main purposes. Model grids coarser, offshore, and it can resolution increase to the coast, with the focus in this region from Tampa Bay to Charlotte Harbor, because red tide, this is a hotspot for red tide. So our main focus on the westward shelf. This zoomed in version for these two Tampa Bay and Charlotte Harbor regions. We use surface sourcing, national North American major scale model called NAM. I point this out because this model was so good at this time during Hurricane Ian. I will show that later. Open boundary forces derived from HICOM, including heights, and river flow from USGS using the measured prostate, the latest available fresh water. This model had been developed a long time ago. The first publication was 2012, and we maintain this model as a daily automatic system, nowcast forecast, automatic run every day, and this kind of plus is available on the website, automatic update every day. We provide these critical basic physical oceanography variables publicly available. Our handcast, our nowcast forecast started about 10 years ago, but handcast is all available from 2004. So this information is important because some of you may want to use this model output for your analysis. You know what's available.
So it's all archived.
Archive.
Yeah.
Yes, handcast archive. So currently we are improving in the process of improving this model to a newer version, extend the grids, increase the better coverage for coastal region, including those Oyster Bay area and this down South Florida, all the way to the east, Biscayne Bay in the region. Yeah, try to have better coverage. Also upgrade software to the latest version. So potentially have a lot of collaborations, opportunity for collaboration, multi-disciplinary resources. Another model we use, two models. One is called Westward Coastal Model. This one called Tampa Bay Coastal Ocean Model. It's nesting within our WFCOM, this TBCOM, nesting within our WFCOM, and the main characteristics of this model is very high resolution in the Tampa Bay, and the resolution as high as 20 meters when you get into the ship channels and small estuaries, small very inner part of estuaries here like this, 20 meters, very high resolution. We similarly, this is a fully Swedish model. WCOM has 30 layers here, shallow water with 10 signal layers. And also we maintain a daily automated run. And output is available since 2017. One application of this model is the Piney Point fertilizer stack, the emerging discharge from this facility. What I point out here, that's the fertilizer stack. There was an emergency in 2021 that it has cracks. If you do not discharge the several meters high of those wastewater untreated, it can flood the neighborhood. That causes big problem. So it's approved. So approved the have emergency discharge, dump water from here through this ditch and release in the Tampa Bay in the Port Manatee region. This reservoir shows this the ditch, and this map showing the larger Tampa Bay area where that location, the Port Manatee location. At the time, a lot of questions being asked. So, how much water will be released, and where will they go, and how long they're gonna stay in the bay, and where we should monitor the coordinate the field work to monitor this process. So, where will we use our TP-count model for this case? But we set up a tracer model based on existing ocean circulation model. With tracer, we could use the purely physical oceanography return. It's passive tracer. Does not take into account those biological growth or ecosystem. It's purely physical oceanography. Tracers release will be transported around in the bay, and also will be dispersed or be diluted by the water. So that's the only way you can see the change of concentration. Or use realistic discharge information provided from Tampa Bay H3 program. This model is existing model not tailored for this application, but we see the location of this discharge location, and dense green points corresponding to the shipping channel to the Port Manatee. Release discharge. The first use one siphon to dump water for about 2 days, and then it's broken. It's got had to fix, and then there's 2 siphons to speed up the process because it's emergency.
Yeah.
and in total 9 days of discharge. This stopped finally in April 8th. So we use this realistic time series every day to track the in our model where just wastewater will go. So we did like a validation, and here is a consistent check. Actually, we know how much we released over time. We calculate in the model domain the total released wastewater, and compare this over it very well over time. So we know that okay, model is correct in this aspect. And this shows snapshot during the first several days, about 10, 11 days, of the tracer discharge location and the tracer concentration change over time, spread into the Tampa Bay over time. So this shows the concentration. It's normalized tracer concentration starting from 1. So in log scale, log 10 scale, initial concentration is 0, log 1 is 0. And the decrease over time, see that once transport around the near field, its concentration decreased over 2 orders of magnitude to -2 or 3 quickly over time. Yeah, the concentration decreased very quickly. And during this first 4 days, our model didn't run at day 1. It took us about 4 or 5 days to set this up. This is a new tracer model application. But by the time we send this, make it public available to everybody, the Tampa Bay H3 program, they said, well, it's concerning because there's initially they set up those field location and collect water samples. They send small boat people out to collect water samples. Most points to the north, deploy resources to the north, because these are some marine preserve there. It's called cockroach preserve in Tampa Bay. To try to predict that, try to monitor that direction. We show that majority of the wastewater being transported down to southward in the southeast of Tampa Bay. They said that's concerning because there is also fishing farms over there. So it's need to shift their resources down south. And we provide this this information in every day to Tampa Bay H3 program in their meeting. Oh, sorry. Okay. Now this kind of serves the validation of the model, but not exactly because this this is from satellite images of chlorophyll concentration, but high chlorophyll concentration occurred, from 9th, 8th, 9th, 10th of April. If we plot the outline of the boundary of this high chlorophyll concentration, and overlay very well with high concentration of tracer model plume. So serve independent data at the same time overlay very well. So we maintain this like ocean circulation model. We maintain a 4.5 day nowcast forecast. 1 day is hindcast, 3.5 day as forecast. Provide this information to the public, mostly used by the Tampa Bay issue program this time to coordinate observation effort. So that's the main. We're busy during that time. And this figure shows the tracer concentration at a different time. The first map shows the day on the 9th, where the just day after the discharge again stopped. And this is by the end of April. And 1 month later and 2 months later, you can see the decrease of the concentration in time. Okay? After 2 or 3 months, they already reduced the concentration of tracer significantly reduced down to more than 3 orders of magnitude that low. So it took a long time. Yeah, several months. This is an ongoing project. So after this event, of this effort, FDP realized the importance of our work, and they decided to fund a project for observations to collect water quality time series in these locations. At the time, no time series data. Our model cannot compare anything else for this without measurement. So funded this ADCP current measurement started last year, and this year we were putting a sensor, water quality sensor in water. We already purchased the sensors. We just got the permit approved by U.S. Coast Guard to use their range towers to install water quality sensors. A lot of work to do and a lot of opportunity for collaborations because water quality is not really our expertise. Our expertise is ocean circulation. A lot of new data sets, a lot of new challenges, and a lot of opportunities for collaboration. Okay, change the topic. Another application, Hurricane Ian event. Hurricane Ian turned out to be a category 4 hurricane before it's making landfall in South Florida in Charlotte Harbor region. It's swiped over the south part of West Florida shelf and our model domain, right within our model domain. We also have several buoys over there, right close to the pass. I don't want to show too much data of the buoys, but I want to show the results of the ocean circulation model. Because our models was set to be run automatically every day. So we were able to provide this information in time to NOAA when they request our model information. 3 days in advance of this hurricane landfall, this is the advisory from NOAA Hurricane Center, National Hurricane Center. They provide 5-day outlook 3 days in advance. So 3 days in advance, they predict that hurricane would make landfall in Tampa Bay region, head our way. We were so nervous at the time. And a lot of reporters came to our region, trying to report this event. And on that day, 26, 3 days in advance, our model shows that, okay, Tampa Bay is negative storm surge. This hurricane made landfall in this region. So storm surge, the serious problem will be down south in this region, south part of the western coast. We were successfully produced 3 days in advance. That's a big deal at the time. And very different from the NOAA's advisories. Yeah, we provide this information to NOAA because they requested.
Is this wind or?
Wind, sorry, wind overlaid on the sea level. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, this wind is very accurate. That's I point out that we use NOAA 9 wind. This wind was so successful in predicting this hurricane landfall event. So without their accurate wind forcing, our model cannot be that great. It's the case. That's why I said I need credit to their wind force. Yeah. Very useful. Yeah, very successful in this case. This map of model output 3 days after the Hurricane Ian landfall. You can see that this coastal plume shape, the very round shape. This is a satellite image, optical satellite image, on the same day, October 1st. See that this coastal plume. It's in our model. This is a nowcast focus on automatic model. It didn't have any fine tune. See, we capture this coastal plume very well, and even this tiny plume to the south. See that? It's in our model system. Model is very good model. See, satellite image shows just one snapshot. This satellite image every 5 days. It's available every 5 days. Our model shows that, okay, this is a dynamic feature, not just one snapshot. It's really that tidal illness related dynamic feature. Our model provides more accurate information for this case. So model performance is very good. And accurate model results very important to represent these coastal plumes. So the coastal plumes, a series of them actually. This 5 days later, another satellite image available shows that the coastal plume expanded to the offshore. We do not have significant ocean color product in our model, but we show that plume expansion of plume to offshore can be seen from our surface salinity field only on the currents, surface currents. See that? In general, yeah, we have that in our model. Coastal plume, they make the coastal circulation complicated. At the time, these observations, drifters, satellite track drifters, we deployed two, one offshore from Tampa Bay, the other offshore from Charlotte Harbor region, from on the same day. See that? The northern drifter drifted down south over the next 2 weeks, and this drifter first down south and went north, and 18th, around 18th, they are so close to each other, even though they came from two different places. Very complicated current systems. See that our model shows that. This one snapshot on it, of course. See that currents flow southward and flow northward. Very complicated. So anybody try to sell you a two-dimensional model for the western shelf circulation, don't buy it. Okay, that can't be true. Okay, what about the Tampa Bay model? This is a nowcast focus of Tampa Bay model ocean currents from a daily forecast during the Hurricane Ian day, 4.5 days. You can see that water being drained out of Tampa Bay and some of the coastal areas. See that black, white, because water being completely drained out from some coastal areas. Sea bottom being exposed to the air. This model want to point out the wet and drying scheme is critical in this case. Our model didn't crash during this extreme event, but NOAA also have operational forecast system based months for Tampa Bay. Their model crashed. Yeah, during the critical time, model cannot be crashed. We provide this information to the public, receive very good information. The following slide will show the specific information what we provided to the public. Before the hurricane arrival, we were able to develop a suitable product like this. This red dot shows tide gauge locations, and if you click any one of them, you will see the 14-day time series plots of water level. The red dots is predicted by our Tampa Bay model, and the blue is observed by the tide gauge. So this is the day we release this comparison. And the gray lines are the purely the tidal prediction from tidal coefficients. So the comparison with observational model over first 10 days generally very good. And we on the 3 days in advance on 26th of September, we're able to predict the negative zone surge, low water level for Hurricane Ian event. As we predict, we made this information I shared this information with NOAA requesting. Their model blew out. So the benefit from us, I shared it with them. I also shared this with the local committee, of course, to Ecology Marine Science Commission only. the internal mailing list, more than how many people on that list. So some people get that information. I received a lot of feedback from that, very positive.
Maybe you can just admit that.
So this is an archive of that product. We made this prediction every day because our model runs once every day. We make this prediction 5 days in a row. We can see that our model performance when compared to the observations, really good. So you can how better you can expect. That's another station. It's over Tampa Bay. It's old Port Tampa. I want to point out that our model predicts that there could be the model water level could be flat there. That means you cannot go down further because it's already bottom. No water to mirror the water level. Tide gauge cannot mirror anything. See, the tide gauge didn't result in any meaningful data until our model predicted that water would go back up. So this typical case shows a wonderful performance of this model. So what a negative storm surge look like. So water being completely drained out of this dark area, this boat sitting in the mud. The tide stream, of course, is broken. So the boat completely on the bottom. This picture shows, I want to put a scale here. This is a normal person, probably 6 feet high. See that? From this is normal water level.
Yeah.
That's almost 2 meters water stayed down during that event. The big negative storm surge. Negative storm surge also matters because U.S. Coast Guard after this event we had another meeting and actually we sit together in a panel discuss about this event. They said this event is critical to them. They need to move their vessel well in advance before this negative storm surge. Otherwise, they cannot go out for search and rescue because they have trouble. Not only the potential damage to their boat, but not able to make an emergency response. And so, negative information is very critical to U.S. Coast Guard. They appreciate that very much. They use that information actually. Another topic, very tight. Hurricane Ian caused a lot of flood to the coastal area. So the question, many people wonder, and I heard some people said that Hurricane Ian caused the red tide on the western coast. Before I get to that point, I want to provide some basic background knowledge for red tide on the western shore. And red tides occurred almost every year on the western coast, and the hotspot areas is from Tampa Bay to Charlotte Harbor, this region. So this map shows the samples, the location of samples over so many years. Because these samples were event driven. Where there's the red tide occurred, where the fish carriers reported that they went out to collect some water samples and analyze their concentration and prove there. So to some extent, this map shows which locations have more serious subject to red tide risks. So a hypothesis is that this location offshore from the coast, about 30 to 40 meter azimuth, could be the region red tide formed and transported down to the coast by operating. And make two processes. One is formation, the other is transport processes. Because I want to provide that information because the formation could largely be affected by this low current system. Low current, once low current changes over time, once it interact western shore in this location, dry to Dilgers, the region near dry to Dilgers, where you see that isobaths from 200, 150, 20 meters all converge here. If local current interacts somewhere here, its effects only local. within 30 meters as 30 kilometers that range, because oceanography, ocean dynamics told you that any perturbation will be mostly affected by within the area of velocity radius deformation. That's about 30 kilometers in this region. But if occurred in this region, the perturbation could propagate along all the SOS, not only this 200 meters SOS. So the entire shelf will be affected. The entire shelf will be setting the motion if the forcing here. So we call this location pressure point of the western shelf. That just an analogy to the human pressure point, the pressure point of the human body. The pressure point, you can feel the entire body. In fact, you can feel the pressure. So the hypothesis, if this pattern occurs during the formative season, very tight formative season in that region, persists long enough time, it would cause a long, enormously strong upwelling on the western shelf, entire shelf upwelling. In this pattern, this shows the model simulated near bottom currents. See, all directed on down shelf and onshore. And this offshore deep water origin, those cold water will be upward on the shelf. And those cold water have a lot of nutrients. High concentration of nutrients will favorize those fast-growing species like diatom. So they will grow very fast, consume most of the nutrients. They will outcompete the Karenia species. That Karenia brevis that species. So in that case, the red tide, the bloom cannot be initiated. That's the hypothesis, very important. It's very counterintuitive to the regular harmful bloom in freshwater system, in lakes, in rivers. You have more nutrients, you have bloom. You have more nutrients, you have intenser bloom. Here, for this red tide species, Karenia brevis is opposite. This is important concept. Not many people know this, but we have been trying to understand this system for a long time. We came to realize that concept is very important. Without that concept, we cannot predict this red tide event. Red tide on the western shelf, we cannot. Okay, with this hypothesis, we can use satellite altimetry data to help to make a seasonal prediction of red tide. See that this loop current evolution in the eastern Gulf of Mexico, that's the main dynamic feature. See the current is so strong. Shelf currents usually to be 10, 20 centimeters per second. The loop current is 100 to 200 centimeters per second, and 10 times stronger. So this thing interacting here, it may save us, or without interacting here, we will have problem. That's the main concept. How we can make this prediction? I use very old machine learning tool. We call it self-organizing math. That's what this work, my dissertation work at the time, published in 2005. But this specific application published in 2016. 2016 here. Yeah, at the time we published this, we proposed this analysis this way. Basically, we have at the time 25 years of satellite altimetry, now 30 years satellite altimetry data. We use SOM self-organizing map to summarize the pattern of current, the patterns of currents in this small region related to this whether there's interaction of the current with the shelf or not. So we summarize the current patterns, 30 years of daily snapshots in these 20 maps. Of course, this is summarized. It's not to the very detailed, but the general information is there. So the patterns are relevant to our interests are this, in the lower right corner, that highlights the magenta color box. The loop current interacting with the shell. In this pattern, and we should. So we have these 20 character patterns. we compare these patterns with our data. We find one for each time frame. We find one, the closest one. We can represent, our data can be represented in this one of these units. We call this best matching unit, BME. Best matching unit. We highlight these relevant patterns in magenta color. And over time, see that it's changing over time. So now we know when these relevant patterns occur over time. And we count the number of days as for every month. So how many days do you have this pattern? We know that from the previous plot. And we also set a standard, a hypothesis, okay, in the blue bar. We only counted those days during the formative season, during the late spring to early summer season, with hypothesized red tide would initiate during that time every year. So during this time, for example, here we found for 90 days, we have that occurrence, and here's less days, but here is a bit more than 30 days. Anything more than 15 days need a certain persistence. So if anything less than 15 days will not count it. So these blue bars shows those years loop current interaction with the shelf is right time, also right location. Those times, that means too much operating, and red tide cannot be formed this season. There will be no red tide in that year, in the fall. The only red tide is occurring in the fall or late summer, early fall season. So we count back this, and the overlap compared with the time series of red tide events. This is the top 5 maximum concentration of red tide over that year for the central Western Shore Park region. It seems that this seasonal prediction compared very well. For example, here there's no major red tide here. There's no red tide in the fall. Here there's some red tide in the early year. They're reduced down. There's no major red tide. Major red tide because red tide concentration as in 10 to the 6 as 1 million cells per liter. So looks like very promising. So we summarize this prediction with this table, taking the time from 1993 started altimetry data all the way to last year. So this has check mark here shows the persistent upwarding will predict no major red tide. So no major red tide, but binary forecast. If this pattern did not occur, there will be major red tide in that year. So we predict major bloom in these years. And we check this forecast, yes or no. We found only 5 years we have outlier years. The rest are correct. Particularly last year we predict major red tide. Yeah, there was. So 25 out of 30 years, our seasonal prediction was correct. So last year, we predict major red tide in June in our project meeting with NOAA. Eagle Have project over that. In that project, we could make that prediction, but it didn't occur until mid-October. So, and until after Hurricane Ian, Hurricane landfall was at the end of September. So we predicted a long time ago. It says there will be a major red tide. So I will show you why it's so late. Because low current is one offshore factor affecting the operating. It's one of transport mechanism. I said before, there's 2 steps: formation and the transport mechanism to make it from offshore and make the way to the coast become a problem. So during last year, I mean more than a year and a half, loop current didn't contact pressure point location at all. So there's no consistent, persistent operating on the western shelf. Another possible forcing of operating is local wind. Local wind, the main wind event can cause strong operating, that's cold fronts. Cold front didn't start until early of October after Hurricane Ian this year. It started very late. Usually started in September, but last year it started very late. See there, after the cold front, these trajectories should from our short-term tracking red tide tracking product shows near bottom flow trajectories in the 4.5 days because this is updated daily. We make 4.5 day simulation. See that should persistently offshore stuff. If there's anything out there, it could be transported to shore. This map shows that in the early October, that's before the observed the red tide high. This median level red tide cell counts just south of Sarasota. So that's the first occurrence of red tide in the last season. That's in the mid-October. But before that, 2 weeks before that, we already see persistent upwelling, coastal upwelling occur, as identified in our model. That's explained its origin is coming from offshore. Okay, it's not really caused by the Hurricane Ian. And by later October, concentration elevated. And by November, the occurrence expanded along the west coast, and concentration also elevated. And not only in that location, but also down south, because I better expand this map. Because this is surface trajectory from this short-term tracking product. It's a collaboration between the FWI. They collect all the cell count data. They provide this data to us every day, every night. We use our model to track from just observed locations automatically every day, every morning, based on our ocean circulation model. This is a trajectory model, but start from their observation locations. And with this different color shows the concentration of the cell counts they identified. And these black spaghettis are the virtual drifters we set in our model domain. Shows where the water will go if there's some red tide over there. So this surface layer, this is near bottom layer. So two different surface layer. You can see that this is a typical upwelling event. Surface layer, the coastal stuff being all transferred away from coast and down the shelf. Near bottom layer, all direct down shelf, but also onshore. See, surface water being transported away, but compensated by the near bottom cells, which originated from the offshore. That's the system, how the system works. This in November. This the same product, but we call it more user-friendly maps. Shows which part of the beach or coastal area could be affected by red tide based on the analysis of these maps. So this for accumulation of previous several days. So which part of the coast we could, if you want to go to the beach, this part might have red tide. So this another product we call user-friendly. If you guys want to go to beach sometime in the future, check our website and see the information. This is the latest information. Yeah, you can use. Yeah, I'm not kidding. So many people ask me to send emails with red tide occur from all over the US, from the northern states. To ask this information. Dr. Liu, can you tell me 1 month later, I have a retirement celebration where the red tide? No, I cannot because I'm only may predict 4.5 days. But yeah, they know all this stuff. Yeah, I suggest you guys also take a look at this when you need. In November, the set had been transported up north to the Tampa Bay latitude. Partly is due to some relaxation of the winds, local wind event during the time between the cold front event. There was times the northward wind, southerly wind. We can transport a little bit very coastal sails up to the north. Also, there could be a lot of maritime sails offshore, even upper in the shelf offshore that could be transported to Tampa Bay area. For example, here, they can direct to this region. This map our short-term tracking product, the front page actually. Near surface, near bottom, we have 5 different boxes. Click each one, you can zoom in. That's what I showed you before. Right now, this is the overall map. This map shows the what occurred, what was status in last month. About 4 years ago. Yeah. The overall concentration has been decreased, but the entire coastal area we had that issue. And the good thing is concentration has been decreased. And one factor it can be attributed to loop currents. Starting from the New Year day, loop currents start contact with pressure point again. They set up they intensify the upward currents circulation, help to flush impact western shelf, help to reduce the concentration of maritime event on the western shelf. So that's one of the reasons. Of course, wind-driven upwelling persisted after a certain time. They could also reduce the concentration of maritime on the coast. 2 mechanisms for upwelling. One is the loop current forcing is this location we call pressure point. The other is the local wind driven. Yeah, they both contributed. Okay, this summary. The main information is we have a set of observing and modeling assets that can be used for a lot of the marine environmental issues. What I presented here first was a Piney Point wastewater plume transport and prediction, and then I showed our application on the Hurricane Ian nowcast focus of storm surge and negative storm surge, and also my explanation of the red tide application in red tide was happened in the last year. But the important point is there's a lot of opportunity for collaboration. Yes, I'll stop here. Thank you for your attention.
All right. All right, thanks so much, Dr. Liu. We'll go to questions in the room first, and then if anyone on Zoom or YouTube has one, please pop it in the chat.
So would you say that you show surface and bottom? Would you say that the surface is more affected by winds than ocean currents, and the bottom is affected by your currents?
Actually, that's not very accurate. I'll put it this way. Both surface for the coastal region shallower than here is the 10 meters isobars, 20 meters isobars. For anywhere shallower than 30 meters depth, this called the inner shell. It's called the circulation mostly wind driven. Wind is very effective drive ocean circulation. So both surface and near bottom currents will be affected by the currents, by winds, will be by wind. But surface currents usually stronger than near bottom one, stronger. Yeah, you will see that offshore transport, surface transport is more usually go a longer distance, but near bottom a shorter distance. That's a difference.
I mean, so it seems like the obvious question is why was the National Hurricane Center so wrong and you were so right? I mean, you had a better wind field coming into your model than you would think they have like the best wind field. You're using a 3-year whatever.
Yeah, we're lucky.
3-day prediction.
The wind we used is called NOAA 9 wind. And insects land model. That model is a local, it's a regional model. It's not a global model. It's focused on the North American. And for this case, it was the best.
It just
And-
happened to be the better match to the observed
Yes.
field, or I mean, did they not apply like a nested wind product when they're doing the hurricane forecasting?
I don't know if they did that or not. Probably they did. I just guess. But their ones is reliable to our group. For both this event and in 2017 Hurricane Ian event.
Irma, yeah.
Yeah, Irma. Their ones were so good. I mean, were accurate. And we're lucky this time, of course, we use their wind. It seems like we should continue to use theirs.
Seems like it, yeah.
This is way off topic, not way off topic, but it's off topic, and may not be in your wheelhouse. I've always been interested to better understand what percent of surface waves breaking on the shore, what percent of the energy of that wave actually is absorbed, what percentage reflected. It may not be in your wheelhouse.
For yeah, waves, particularly for storm surge applications, waves is very important.
Right.
Currently on our western shelf model, we do not have waves component in it. And that's why I didn't show, to be honest with you, I showed the storm surge animation, but I didn't show the water level comparison to you western shelf. We compare it.
Mhm.
There's a offset. We know the offset, what, how to, this offset can be accounted for. One part is due to waves. The waves cause the surge. I think as a tailgate at Fort Myers region, tailgates there, Fort Myers. Model simulates, I think it's a little bit over 1 meter, just the storm surge, purely on ocean circulation. And the observation is about 2 meters at that location. But the real surge is higher than that. I know it's reported. But for that particular location, the difference, waves account for about 50 centimeters. Yeah, another 50 meters, we know that it's due to the air pressure. It's not represented at all. It's inverted barometer effect. That the low pressure of this system was 963 millibar. So if that the difference from the normal case 1,025 something, it's about compared to the water level is about 50 centimeters. We know that can be accounted for. Waves is one of them. Waves currently not in our system, but we are working towards that direction.
So you noted that red tide is like a nearly annual event, and there's at least, I mean, anecdotally, the idea that, you know, it was every few years to every year but worse. And so have you looked at sort of, you know, you looked at this long-term binary prediction on, off, but in thinking about other drivers of perhaps like you set up the conditions and, you know, like the work of Miles, looking at the freshwater and the pollutant discharges as a opportunity to make blooms worse. And thinking about those two in concert, the pressure point not just being a binary, but being a sort of like yes, but also the potential for exacerbation.
Very good point, David. It's a pressure point forcing based seasonal forecast. It's just a very crude seasonal forecast. It's just there is or not a major red tide in that year. We don't know where location or how serious that bloom could be. And coastal, once bloom initiated, transfer to the coast, it could be further intensified by a lot of factors. For example, coastal blooms, land, the drainage from land. And obviously, one case in 2021 in Tampa Bay, the Piney Point water Okay. And it's not a clear answer, but
Yeah.
there's a very good coincidence. 2 months after the Piney Point discharge in June and July, we had major rain within Tampa Bay. Starting first, low to medium cell was transported, came from south and into Tampa Bay and boom over there. And coincidence so well with the river discharge. That could be could be blamed for that. But I'm
It's
not a
hard-
biologist,
hard to
but yeah, there's a lot to be explored. Yeah, what you said, and that definitely the future direction. So we can collaborate with different groups and take into account the coastal river input from estuaries and from land.
My question, you said
Okay,
that-
so just if you're a student and you need to run to the next class, you can go. We're gonna keep asking questions because we like doing that. We'll keep the YouTube running, but yeah, please go ahead, Dr. Canestrello.
So you said that the more nutrient you have offshore, the more you feed the diatoms, and so the diatoms outcompete the Karenia brevis. But what about nutrients coming from fresh water? So is it known how they affect Karenia brevis? Is there a lot of research like in that direction, and or is there already some research that gives some answer?
Yeah, that hypothesis is more for the offshore near bottom region.
Yeah.
So diatom is one of the species. It's fast growing. It could be others. For if getting to the coastal area, it would be more complicated. I think. I don't know exactly, but nutrients are more complicated. Nutrient conditions and the ecosystems could also be more complicated. Not only those nutrients, and for offshore, it's more like inorganic nutrients.
Mhm.
Then you get to ashore, more organic could come into play, and also those metals. I don't really understand very well, so which metals very limited in this process. It happens that the iron from air dust. In one case, it corresponds very well with the paper published about that. That could cause spread out. But don't really know. Yeah, they need further studies.
Yeah, Nick.
When we looked at the two different classifications of like the pressure point and then the not pressure point scenarios, did you ever take into account like the spatial extent of the blooms, or was it just the entire west coast of Florida? Just saying like, oh, like the entire west coast versus individual estuaries or individual parts of the state, as far as like where the Karenia brevis has been transported to? Or was it, yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, this seasonal prediction is just predicted whether the bloom can be initiated or not during the formative season. As to where your heat will be transported to, the coast, which part of it will be suffered for the bloom, that's depend on the second stage, the transport mechanism. Whether this transport, the loop current force operating contribute or not, and also the wind, or how strong the wind or how frequent the wind forcing. So it really depend on those combined factors of this coastal operating circulation, which divided by both offshore and local. So for that seasonal prediction, purely based on sea level temperature level, we cannot tell which part of the coast will be affected. So that's need more data. Of course, what your question is really interesting, and probably in the future we can improve the seasonal prediction that way, taking account more factors, not just offshore force, local current forcing. Local wind could be considered as well, for better prediction. But for as difficult for now, I can think would be the time frame we can the predictability for for this kind of prediction. So how long we can predict for winds and meteorological weather forecast, I mean, week or 10 days, that's reliable. Beyond that, I mean, it's not dependable. So there's a limit. So that's something we need to consider, whether it's practical or not. Definitely, that's the direction we can work in.
Well, let's give Dr. Lou another round of applause. Thank you very much. All right, everyone online, good to see you. We will see you next week. And until then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other.